this is the thing with Sean Strickland, is that we've talked about it before, and even going into the Izzy fight, there is the disconnect of, I'm willing to go out there and die out there for you. I will fight to the end. I will throw down with anyone, as he then proceeds to pitter-patter jab his way to a 49-46 win. And then does the final 10 seconds. Come on, let's do it. Let's throw down, as he then throws a calf kick and backs up. There's always that disconnect with Sean Strickland for me. One that I don't think he'll ever get over. I think it's kind of ingrained into him, that sort of fighting style now. I would like to point out that also, people might make some comments towards Silva that might be a bit unfair after saying that, criticising Strickland. Doesn't Silva have more finishes in the UFC than Sean Strickland? I think she's got 6 to Strickland's 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damning, Sean.
It is.
Well, let me come to Sean's defence, because I can see you're not rushing to do it, Joe. I'm pumped for this fight. I think this is really exciting. Sean Strickland is the middleweight champion. He just dethroned Israel Adesanya, dropped him, went to work on him. Comprehensive victory, amazing. I think we haven't got to our review of 2024, but that's got to be up there with the shots.
Well, we got 12 minutes to go before our review of 2024.
Yeah, sorry. 2023, of course. 2023. It all becomes one, Joe, at a certain age. Yeah, I'm really excited for this fight, and Sean did do a great performance. He beat one of the greatest middleweights of all time. Yep. And a man that no one thought he could beat, and he beat him in his own way. He didn't change his own style. He played his own game, and it was too much for Israel Adesanya. I am super excited for this fight.
It's not because of Sean Strickland, it's because of Dricus Du Plessis, I assume.
No, it is. It's Joe. Sean Strickland is the champ. Embrace the new reality. It's still troubling for me, but he is. He's the man right now.
Okay, remove the fact that it was Israel Adesanya and it was a title fight. If you just watch that fight, Sean Strickland against whoever in a main event, and you saw that performance, that wouldn't have hyped you up. The thing that hyped you up about it was a title fight. The performance there was, I got to say, extremely poor from Adesanya. And for me, on the Strickland side of things, was, again, not particularly inspiring in terms of either entertainment, in terms of martial arts skill, in terms of any of those things that draws me in. And then factoring in still the disconnect of, I will die out there, let's go down. And people clip that thing of him following Izzy around, going come on, let's do it, let's go for the final 15 seconds, like it's Holloway Lamas. Except those two actually did throw down and swing at each other, even though Holloway had clearly won. And then he's just come on, let's do it. And he's just
Joe,
pouring out a jab. It was terrible. It was terrible.
I see no difference. Sean had clearly won this fight. He had dominated the champion. The only difference would be if Lamas. What? You're saying it was a close fight up to that point?
No. I'm not saying it's close. I didn't say it was close. What I'm saying is,
and Sean
he's
dropped him, Joe.
No, what I'm saying is that Holloway and Lamas said Holloway had won. He didn't need to do that. He pointed to the ground and they started swinging, and they did land on each other. Holloway more on Lamas, but they did start swinging it out. Strickland's come on, let's swing it out as he's backing up, and then he just pours a jab.
Yeah, if Israel, so you should blame Israel Adesanya for that, because if he engaged with Strickland, he's getting finished.
No, because every time Strickland always does that. No, he wasn't going to finish him. No, I'd never heard such nonsense in my entire life. Even when he did it against Hermansson, he said come on, let's do it, and Hermansson stepped towards him, and then Strickland calf kicked him and backed up. So again,
I'll give it to you. All right, Sean, he does have that proclivity. Yeah, he is inclined to that behaviour. I just can't really understand how you can point to the Israel Adesanya fight and criticise Sean Strickland. It actually blows my mind. But we see the face and the sound of a hater.
Who, me?
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to hate, Joe. It's okay to hate.
I haven't even broke down this fight yet, and you will see that I'm not a hater of Sean at all.
Let's go. Well, before that, let's talk about DDP and how he got here, because he's also coming off a huge win, a massive upset. Are you going to criticise him? You hate him as well?
No, the performance against Whittaker was superb. Really bamboozled Whittaker, to be honest. And you do see that in all of DDP's fights, which is, we've talked about it before, in that he just explodes into action. He has these sharp explosions. And what you notice is, if you watch the Tavares fight or the Brunson fight or the Whittaker fight, he does explode, but there's no linking rhythm between any of them. Like, it will be literally, he'll explode with like a high kick and then follow it up with a straight against Tavares. He'll, double jab Brunson straight to the body, then a calf kick at the end of it. Or in the case of Whittaker, it's explode in, pull back, and then explode again. Like, there's no set patterns with Du Plessis, and I think it's actually because
just explosion, Joe.
It's explosion.
Explosion is the
but
pattern.
He's very tactical. Like, this is the thing. He finds the weakness in these guys, and he's like, right, I'm going to explode, but I need to explode into a thing that's going to get this guy out of there. And he's definitely got that game plan set for Strickland. I'm pretty sure I know what it is that he's going to go for. But you will see that. But it's just that I can't watch the Tavares fight and go like, oh, DDP's going to do this against him, because he probably won't. That's what he did for Tavares, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Cesaro was
Strickland. Whereas Strickland, his performance against Cannonier, that Abus bum that he got rid of, Adesanya.
He beat Cannonier.
Well, he lost to Cannonier, but anyway.
No, he beat him.
Well, should we go on to Tapology? We can look at what the record says. What he did in those 3 fights is exactly the same as what he's going to do in this fight. It's going to be double jab, pitter-patter jab, right straight behind it, teep to the body, pressing him up against the cage, jabbing him, following him around from there. No huge knockout, huge moments other than an attritional knockout of Abus. And then the one time he exploded in his entire UFC career, he did knock down Adesanya. So I do like to think that maybe Sean will do that in this fight.
Let me just jump in there. Like SafeSo did preview this fight again for the UFC. We've given a nod to that before. You can go on the UFC channel and watch it. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to.
No, I've not watched it.
He highlighted, some technical details behind these finishes, and yeah, he basically said that Sean was setting up that strike that eventually knocked Israel down much earlier in the fight. He had noticed that as he backed Izzy up, Izzy would get back to the cage, feel the cage, and then step out with a little left-hand jab, and be ready to circle off. He'd give himself a little bit of space with that. Once he felt the cage, just that little bit of that get you like off him for a moment so he can circle out. Sean obviously had teased that out of him because he'd been backing him up the whole fight, constant pressure which Israel could not cope with, and he basically waited for Israel to throw out his little left hand, and then immediately as Israel's loading it up, Sean comes straight down the middle with the right hand and drops him. Beautiful stuff. He was
really
ready
lovely.
for it. Much in the same way that Dricus was ready for Robert to kind of duck down as he starts his attack. He kind of comes down, and before as soon as he ducked down, Dricus knew that the lead hand was coming, so he was ready to hit that counter. So both these guys do have some smarts in the octagon. They do set up their strikes, and I can see what you're saying. There's a bit more flair to Dricus. It's a bit less orderly.
Flair is one word for it. I don't know if that's. When I think of flair, I think of like Anderson Silva. Like this, it's not smooth, is how I would put it. It's very
no.
It's very much like, this is how I'm going to have to finish you. I can kind of do a high kick, but it's going to not be a technically right high kick, if that makes sense. Or it's not going to be a technically right counter left hook or whatever.
All right, Joe. For Dricus Du Plessis, he is the challenger. How should he fight this fight? What do you think we're going to see from him?
I think he is going to take down Strickland. I think that's going to be the approach. He's going to try and wrestle him, take him down, get him sort of thinking of that. I think the first round will be Dricus overpowering Strickland and wrestling him. And I do think that will probably be what happens in the first round. If that's the case, I think Strickland will lose that first round. That doesn't mean, by the way, I'm thinking Strickland's going to lose this fight. Like, that doesn't mean anything if he loses that first round. But I imagine that's what he's going to do. Either then to set up a finish on the ground, or to then open up the strikes up top.
Walk me through a bit more of this takedown. Where does it take place? How does it come about?
Well, he has to sort of either catch Strickland when he lifts his right rear leg for his teep. You know how he sort of lifts the rear leg to like teep to the body or to step through.
Yeah, just to make the space for himself to set. He's got to
he'll catch him in that point. Is what I imagine how he's going to get a takedown, or I know this might sound rudimentary, but I reckon he could bum rush him just like into a takedown, because I have seen Dricus do it before. You know, I have seen him implement that sort of game plan. But I think the rear leg coming up, I think that's something that Dricus will probably want to exploit. I know he's better on the ground than Sean is.
Hold on. I gotta jump in. I gotta say my piece here.
Go on.
I don't think he takes him down
at all in the fight.
No, I mean, I think it's something definitely he'd look to exploit. I mean, it's the way he has to. He has to get a takedown to kind of even out their cardio. You know, I know we're going to get to that, but Dricus needs that kind of domination. He needs to sap Sean of energy, and he needs to do it early. But I actually think Sean is pretty great at fending off takedowns and great balance, and I think he's well set. I understand what you're saying about him lifting the leg for the teep, but Sean Strickland has an 84% takedown defense, and I just don't think that's going to be a big avenue for Dricus. I do think they'll meet in the clinch. Be an interesting space, but I think Strickland's pretty good at managing that as well.
Sean Strickland doesn't really get into clinch exchanges though, does he? Whenever he gets into a clinch exchange, it's more pushes you off and then strikes on the break, really, isn't it?
I'd say it's more people trying to wrap up Sean to deal with that pressure, you know?
Yeah.
I'd say that's how they... And he can handle that. I mean, when you fight on the front foot like Sean often does, then, you need to be ready for people to mix in clinches and takedowns. And I think that's fundamental to his style, is the fact that he is able to cope with that. So... Yeah, I'm not sure. I agree that Dricus will be looking for it. I'm not as convinced as you that he will find it. If it doesn't play out like that, Dricus can't find a takedown, what does the fight start to look like then?
Well, we know what it's going to look like from the Strickland side. Again, it is going to be the classic Strickland style. That's why I tend to look more at like what is Dricus potentially going to exploit. Again, I do think about the rear leg lift. If he could then, let's say Sean lifts his right leg, if Dricus can chop him with a calf kick on the left leg as he does that, like if he can find that timing, that could be an avenue for him to slow Strickland down. I also do think that because Strickland does get a bit square at times, it could again lead to a takedown from there. Sure. I also do think because he gets a bit square, and I know that people talk about this Philly shell thing and whatever else. He doesn't look. He does it in MMA, yes, but he doesn't do it particularly well. Like it's slightly different in the space of MMA, so it makes it sort of stand out a bit more. But it does lead you to like being open to body shots, and then I think for Dricus to then come up from there. I also do think Dricus has KO potential over Sean as well. Like I'm sure you agree with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's that can't be disputed. Dricus is
no, it cannot.
Dricus is he is quite the specimen. You know, he's freakish.
I know there's the same height and they got the same arm length, but the diet doesn't. No, I don't. I'm not having it.
Dricus is all torso, man. He's all torso. He's the Ricky Simone of a middleweight, and it's that classic, like, you know, corn-fed farm boy kind of. You know what I'm saying? He's a smaller block as well. No, power definitely lies in the hands of Dricus. I mean, it was an explosion that did for Whittaker. It was a thunderous shot that ended up putting him away. That was the mismatch. That was the mismatch in their fight. You remember when it went to the ground?
Dricus was
manhandling him in there.
Yeah, so then do you not factor that into if it goes to the ground? Like, Dricus does really weird things on the ground anyway. He does like these really weird sweeps and rolls that you don't really see, you know. He did, as you say, manhandle Whittaker, who... That was the first time Whittaker kind of looked really small at middleweight. Like, you know... But then Dricus is massive.
You're saying Sean, the former welterweight, you know, could be undersized. I wouldn't say that I've seen Sean looking... underpowered, apart from against Alex Pereira, who's the current light heavyweight champion.
Yes. To be honest, I never really thought Sean was a welterweight, really.
No.
Do you know what I mean? He was always a middleweight. In the same way that Whittaker was always a middleweight, it's just that they could get to 170. That doesn't mean that they should be at 170, you know. See, I always felt like Sean was, when you got to middleweight, so yeah, that makes sense. Again, I don't know how you see Dricus absolutely manhandle Whittaker on the ground and not think something similar might happen to Strickland. No, like can you not foresee that?
It's just like, I mean, the way it ended up on the ground, if I'm not mistaken, Whittaker was a bit dazed. No, that's what led to them ending up on the mat. Yeah, I just think that I do think Sean. I know you hate him, Joe, but he is a little bit special in his kind of distance management and the way he can roll with punches, the way he can stay in the pocket, but just out of it. There are not many men who can just stand and trade with. I mean, I know you'll take a section to trade, but let's just say stand. There might not be that much trading, but stand with men like Cannonier, without any fear of getting clipped. Explosive, powerful guys like that, and Sean can do it. Sean can do it. You hate it, but he did the whole fight against Adesanya.
No, I don't hate him at all. I find him, as I've said before, and you did mock me for this, I do find him quite a compelling character. And I think that's come out from that press conference and that interview with Theo Von and all that. He's definitely an interesting guy. I just think he stinks. Like, I just don't think when I think of like the best fighters in the world, pound for pound, top 10, there's no way on earth I can put Sean Strickland in the top 10 pound for pound fighters in the world. Like, I just cannot do it.
So how bad is Israel Adesanya?
Yeah, really. How bad is he, or was he on that night? Like really, how bad was he that he lost to that guy?
Well, like we went through this we're on tape.
Yeah, and I take it back, by the way, and also I want to give like Eric Nixick some credit, because I do actually think he's probably the best coach in the world. Like, he is a brilliant mind for the sport. He's a smart guy. I mean, he coached Ngannou to that performance against Tyson Fury. I know he wasn't the head coach, but still he was in the corner. He was in the game planning of that fight. He's a smart dude who knows what he's doing. And there were some things in there, like, remember the Whittaker knockout Adesanya had? Adesanya loaded up for that a couple times, and every time Whittaker saw it before it was happening and sort of ducked down and up-jabbed him from there. So it's like, Sean Strickland's not like a dumb fighter. Like, he's a good fighter. I take it back that he stinks. It's just that he's got, like, not enough about him for me to ever be endeared by him. And I find his personality interesting but counterintuitive to his actual fighting style, which is irritating. Whereas Dricus, who is a moron, is a brilliant fighter to watch, even though he is deeply flawed as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't...
Oh, he's exciting. He's must watch. He's must see TV. And Sean,
exactly.
Sean is not. Sean, no. I'm with all that, Joe.
Yeah.
But Sean is the champ. He just beat Israel Adesanya. Like, it happened. Like, we have to accept it. And he's become a little bit of a brand and a star. Before that, and that's really lit the touch paper on it. Let me ask you one question now before we go to your prediction.
Yeah, go on.
Unless there's something else you want to get out there. Okay, so look, who has the better record of these two fighters?
Dricus.
Okay, because I don't agree. I don't agree. No, I don't agree. If I look at Dricus' record, I think it's really, really, really hollow.
What?
I look at Brad Tavares. He was lucky to get out of that fight. Lucky to get out of that fight with a win. He was very, very poor. It was touch and go in there. Darren Till, totally washed.
Right.
There were moments in...
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, keep going. After you do the next one, I'm going to interrupt, okay?
Well, yeah, the next... Sure, but that doesn't compare to Adesanya. You got Brunson. Yeah. Brunson, who we know was just washed. Obviously, I mean, you remember the first round of that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Whittaker, which is...
He beat Robert
huge
Whittaker.
Win. Big upset. The only bigger upset I can think is Sean Strickland beating Israel Adesanya, Joe. No. You got to suck on them eggs, brother.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. Hold on. What is Sean Strickland's best two wins? Because Dricus Du Plessis' best two wins are Robert Whittaker and Roberto Soldic. He beat Roberto Soldic.
Yeah.
When Soldic was the fucking man, yeah.
All right. Well, of course, obviously, I'm talking about in their UFC run.
Okay, fine.
All right. I'm not going back to KOTC whatever that is, in
King of the
Oklahoma,
Cage.
Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Norman,
King of the Cage.
Oklahoma, 2011.
Yeah, okay.
For Sean Strickland.
So,
and
all right,
his
so
win
what's
over
Sean
Brandon
Strickland's
Hunt.
best wins then?
His best wins. All right, so he's got
Israel
Imamov.
At 205, when Imavov had cut to 185, and Strickland had to come in on a week's notice and can only do 205, Imavov weighed in at 195. Strickland weighed in at 205.
Yeah, and Imamov, like, bigger built guy anyway, made for a
What on earth? No, I'm sorry, man. You are absolutely drinking the Kool-Aid here. Like, I'm sorry,
Joe,
man. Strickland looked so much bigger than him in that fight.
He knocked out Brendan Allen.
Who stinks? Next.
Now, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm going to have to refer to the rankings here and just give you a little bit of a reality check. Brendan Allen is cruising through this division. He's ranked 7 now already.
It's a terrible division, man. Are you telling me that middleweight's a good division?
I just want you to accept reality, all right? I just want you to see Sean, basically, he's won 9 fights out of his 10, really. He beat Cannonier. You might not want to acknowledge it, but he beat him. He
didn't beat Cannonier.
He beat Uriah Hall. He knocked out
Uriah Hall.
Allen.
Oh, my God. Nordine Taleb, do you want to get that in there? Court McGee, whilst we're at it. He also has losses to Santiago Ponzinibbio.
I'm talking about his middleweight run.
He lost to Ponzinibbio and he lost to Usman.
That wasn't middleweight.
Oh, wow. He's got a win over Jack Marshman. Wow, tremendous.
Sean Strickland has a better record show, and he is going to win this fight on Saturday night. And I'm going to come back on here, and I'm going to rain all over your parade. All right? You're going to start 2024 like you ended 2023. Sucking on them eggs. Bowing down to the champ. Now, look, Joe, we've been in discussions here. It's got to be a rule change for the scoring. All right?
Why?
We've got to recognise these big events. We've got to recognise these big events. We've got to double up the points for them. For the main event, for the big show, the big fights. We've got to double them points. That's what the fans want. All right? That's what the fans want.
All right, we can do it for the next card. This card we've set it, but we can do it. We can discuss it for the next card. You can't be throwing rule changes at me in the middle of the game. That's not fair. All right.
Look, Joe, it's
that's like if you're adding some rules to Monopoly in the middle of the game. Oh, actually, that's done.
And I do that. I do.
No,
that,
you can't. No, you
and
can't
look,
do that.
And guess who the champ is? Look, I know. I've got
you
some
got
fans
mollywopped all year.
No. They'll be in the comments and they'll be telling you how it is. Now look, Sean Strickland.
Adam, back me up.
He's going to win by Kyle, I know you're a rational man. Now look, it's a decision win for Sean Strickland.
Okay, fair enough. Now what if I told...
I can't even imagine the state Dricus Du Plessis will be in by the 5th round. I can't imagine that, but he does seem to be able to be totally gassed and still chug.
We didn't actually talk about the cardio thing. Do you not think Dricus takes rounds off?
Yes.
Yes, because he knows his cardio has to last a certain amount of time. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Because he's very limited. Yeah.
In terms, I don't think he's very limited. I just think
Joe,
these sort of
put it on the line, brother. Put it on the line.
Well, what if I told you that I've picked Sean Strickland to win?
Then you're a sad, sad little man.
Because I picked Dricus Du Plessis to win by knockout. That's what I've picked.
By knockout?
Yeah, I think he's going to knock him out. I think he's going to finish him on the ground. I think it's going to... There's 2 scenarios I see for this fight, which is Dricus is just so much better than him, and that it's a complete mismatch, or Dricus gasses himself out and Strickland just walks him down for 20 minutes. Like those are the two scenarios. Two scenarios I'm seeing, and the one that I lean towards more is Dricus just being that much better than him, and I really do think he has that potential.